Welcome to the Arthouse Legends vidcast and the start of our new game show, Plot Points.
Plot points, plot points, plot points.
Now we'll probably have some intro at some point, but here's how the game works. These two gentlemen have been given a genre of film, a director, and 3 actors. What they are going to do is they're going to construct a plot pitch that will use all of these, including whatever else that they wish to use, to sell a movie. And you're the one that's going to decide which one has the best plot. And you'll do that by clicking on the thumbs up arrows for either of these gentlemen on the YouTube page. Now, before we get started, I will let you know what the plot that they're going to be putting together. The film in question is going to be a time travel movie directed by Danny Boyle, starring Matthew McConaughey, Amy Adams, and Bruce Dern. Now that you know what we're about to do, Lobster, give them your pitch.
Oh, boy. Oh, man. Well, okay. So my pitch is for an adapted screenplay. So the name of the movie is The Sound of His Horn. And as you can guess, it's going to involve some Nazis. Here's my cast. So I've filled out the entire cast, and I'll leave that up on the screen while I give you my summary. And actually, sorry, just let me get organized here. Okay, so U.S. Air Force paratrooper Lieutenant Jim Long, played by Matthew McConaughey, is captured by the Nazis during Operation Avalanche in September of 1943 and sent to a stalag in East Germany. There, he is tormented by an SS overseer, played by Walton Goggins, but works with his fellow POWs to plan an escape. Using a fight in the camp as cover, Long and another escape, seeking to exploit what they believe is a weak area of the perimeter fence under repair. As they run towards the fence, a bright light envelops them as though they were struck by lightning. Long wakes up in a hospital bed, but right away he notices things that don't make sense. The hospital is not the POW camp's infirmary, and the nurse speaks perfect English with only a slight German accent. The hospital is very clean, with equipment that Long has never seen before. Though he is covered in burns when he wakes, the wounds disappear quickly. At night, Long wakes to the distant sound of a hunting horn and the baying of hounds. The doctor, Eichbrunn, played by Cillian Murphy, finally comes to see Long once he's well enough to stand. The doctor asks standard questions, and Long answers honestly. He says he's a prisoner of war trying to escape from a Nazi prison camp. The doctor asks Long what year he thinks it is. Long says 1943. The doctor laughs. He explains that Long was exposed to the Bolin rays used to power the perimeter fence. They are quite powerful, and it's a miracle that Long survived. It's quite understandable that he would be confused, perhaps even suffering some sort of cognitive damage. How else could he believe he was fighting in a war that ended over a century ago? Long learns that he's a guest of the Reichsmaster Forester, Count Johann von Hacklenberg, in his forest estate outside the capital. It is the 121st year of the first German millennium, as proclaimed by the first Führer and immortal spirit of Germanism, Adolf Hitler. The war Long thinks he is fighting, the war of German rights, ended with German victory. Long begins to doubt his own sanity. Did he truly escape, only to sleep like Rip Van Winkle until the year 2055? Or was he perhaps still sleeping, and this was all a terrible nightmare? Long asks the doctor if he can meet with the Count, but the doctor says, rather nervously, that the Count is far too busy. He says that if Long wants, he can see the Count's castle the day after tomorrow, when the Count will be out hunting during the day with a party of visitors. And perhaps Long might even catch a glimpse of the Count at his feast. 2 days later, the doctor leads Long through the forest towards the castle. On an elevated walkway over the forest, Long sees large beasts resembling cattle, but much larger. The doctor explains that these are wild aurochs, a species long extinct. Modern science has resurrected them, along with many other species on the Count's estate. At the Count's Gothic turreted castle, they encounter his master of the hunt, played by Robert Carlyle, who is working on a strange suit of armor. Long also witnesses massive, vicious-looking hounds in cages. The master of the hunt tells the doctor that they could find a vantage point for the hunt in a pavilion with some of the Count's less prestigious guests. In the hunting pavilion, full of fat and drunk visitors, Long first sees deer being chased and shot at by the visiting hunters. The guns are strange, emitting a wide beam of light that does no damage to the deer, but drops it stone dead. Some more huntsmen arrive with a pair of boys dressed as monkeys. They behave like monkeys too, cartwheeling and cavorting for the general amusement of the guests. Next he hears the horn, the same horn he heard at night. Looking down the hill, he sees a shape, feathered and fast, but tall like a person. A woman, in a sort of bird costume, with hounds chasing her. She runs past the pavilion. Long almost jumps up to try to help her, but she is captured in a net fired from one of the guns. The hounds are called off, and the mandrill boys retrieve her, alive. The doctor has been drinking with the guests and has a headache, so he insists that they return to the hospital. They ride back in one of the wagons, and Long does not get to see the Count, though he hears the horn. On the ride back, he presses the doctor for more information about what he has seen. The doctor, as it turns out, oversees the alterations to the humans, really members of one underrace or another, that are used for the hunts. Some are more dangerous than others, he warns. That night, they go back to the castle for the feast. There Long sees Count Johann von Hecklenberg, played by Bruce Dern, for the first time. An older man, but physically imposing, holding court to the drunk and corpulent visitors. They are retelling tales for the day's hunting, but the Count takes no joy in it. A large silver dome-covered tray is brought forth, open to reveal the bird woman, plucked naked and trussed up, but still squirming. The guests are salivating, ready to continue their orgiastic feast by enjoying the spoils of their hunt. The Count raises his hand. If they follow him, he will show them something far more satisfying. He leads the party outside to the edge of the forest, Long following at a distance and managing to slip away from the doctor. The two huntsmen in a sort of armor wait there, each holding a whip with a deer on the leash between them. The Count takes up his horn, blowing a low, tense note. There are cries from the forest, animal sounds, but somehow human. Out of the forest come three lean and loping shapes, sleek in the torchlight. The Count blows the horn again. The deer is released. The sleek shapes, Long can see now that they are women, cat-like and fierce, close in. The armored men fall back, cracking their whips, and the Count continues to blow his horn. The leopard women close in, torchlight glinting off the metal talons on their fingertips. The deer tries to run. The leopard women bring it down and tear into it, and the Count laughs. The Count says that these are the true hunters, leaving the guests shocked and abashed. They turn to go back to the feast, and Long somehow comes face to face with the Count. The Count has Long seized and brought to his study in the castle. The bowline rays have many strange properties, the Count explains. They are incredibly destructive. Those not killed instantly when coming in contact with the fence don't live for long, but for some reason Long was mostly unharmed. Sometimes, the Count says, the force of the rays can make a body disappear entirely, vaporized. Long says he must be crazy, and the Count says it would certainly seem so. How else could he have gotten from a stalag in 1943 to here in the present year? The Count said it certainly seemed crazy to him when he realized who Long was, when he recognized him. Recognized him? How? The Count explained that the bowline rays have many strange property, and he is familiar with all of them, as they were his discovery. They can kill, yes, but they can do other miraculous things, including extend life. He lifts a photograph on his desk to show Long, a photograph of the SS prison camp overseer who had tormented Long in 1943. The Count had thought that Long had been killed in the first experiment he conducted on the bowline rays, which was then just an attempt at building a better fence. They never discovered a body, but the experiment seemed to be a success. Clearly Long had not died, but had been sent forward in time, out the other side of the fence. The rays had something to do with time himself. The Count had also discovered that the bowline rays work to slow time, slow aging, when exposed in small doses over a long period of time. That was how he survived. gaining power and fulfilling his vision for the Third Reich. Hitler was a fool, he said, who deserved what he got. Hitler had wanted to exterminate the under races. What a waste, when they could be used for such good sport. The Count calls his guards to have Long taken out and set free. The Count wonders how long he will last in the forest with the cats out there. If they don't get him, the Count will be hunting him soon enough. Long is taken out into the forest and left in a hut in the middle of the night. It is dark, but Long realizes he's not alone. There's another man there, a Frenchman, who Long learns is a sort of political prisoner. He has been there for weeks, hunted at night by the Count. He's managed to stay alive this long, but it's clear he's losing his sanity. The next morning, Long awakens to find the hut empty. He goes out and explores, finding a stone table on which food has been left. As he approaches, he notices that the table is being watched by the huntsman. The food is bait. He thinks to return to the hospital, but when he arrives, the nurse who helped him recover screams in terror. The doctor arrives, equally terrified, but not of Long, of the Count. He sounds the alarm and Long flees. Back in the forest, Long is being hunted by the leopard women. Long realizes and starts talking to them. He flashes the V for victory sign. One of the leopard women, played by Amy Adams, comes out cautiously. She speaks to him in plain English. How does he know the sign of the resistance? She introduces herself as Kit, and the other two leopard women, played by Tatiana Maslany and Naomi Harris, as Susan and Amanda. They had been in the resistance, but were captured, tortured, and then forced to undergo re-education and surgical alteration. They are human, but not completely, not anymore. They have their memories, their intelligence, but sometimes their baser instincts take over, especially when they are hungry, or when they hear that horn. Susan and Amanda seem less trusting of Long and want to leave, but Kit wants to stay. She and Long explore the forest and get to know each other. Eventually, they come to the perimeter fence. There are watchtowers along the fence every 500 yards or so. They watch a flock of birds take flight. One flies too close and is zapped out of the air. Kit explains that anything within 2 feet of the fence is usually killed instantly, if it's small. If something big hits the fence, it takes longer to die. Sometimes the fence shorts out for a few seconds. The guards in the watchtower make sure no one gets through. Long starts to devise a plan. If they can tunnel under the fence, maybe they can escape. They return to the forest. Kit needs to hunt with her pack. Long returns to the hut, but the Frenchman is still gone. After dark, he hears a thump outside. There are 2 dead rabbits on the porch, left by Kit for him. That night he hears the horn, but far away. He wakes up alone again, but in the forest he meets Kit. She has an idea, but they will need to wait until nightfall. There are tools in the pavilion, shovels. Long could use them to tunnel under the fence. They spend the day together again. After dark, they sneak down to the pavilion and steal a small shovel and a pickaxe. As they leave, they hear the horn coming towards them. Kit starts to get nervous. She doesn't trust herself near Long. The sound of his horn makes her need to hunt. She runs off into the forest, telling Long to head for the fence, where they were yesterday. Long runs, swimming across a lake, wading through a bog, the sounds of the hunters and the hounds growing ever closer. He reaches the fence just as they catch up with him. The hounds circle around him, and the Count and his master of the hunt ride up. The Count expresses his disappointment, and then cocks his head as a rumbling sound approaches. An entire herd of aurochs is stampeding toward them, driven on by Kit and her pack. The Count blows his horn, but the aurochs are charging straight for the fence, invisible in the darkness. The herd hits the fence, and a blinding flash of light fills the air. The ground is on fire, the hounds are scattered, and the fence is down. Kit screams at Long to run and throws herself at the Count, while Susan and Amanda attack the master of the hunt. The Count draws his gun, fires, and Kit drops to the ground. Long knows she is dead. He leaps through the flames to the other side of the fence. Long looks back at the Count through the flames. The Count says nothing, but lifts his horn in salute and turns away. Long runs into the night. 3 weeks later, Long is recovering in a hospital bed. He talks with a British doctor, explaining how he was found wandering the countryside by someone who just happened to be a member of the resistance against the Nazis. He was smuggled out to the French resistance, then to England. The doctor comments on Long's good fortune. Before Long can reply, a cat jumps onto the bed, purring. The doctor apologizes and said he was sure he put the cat outside. He says that cats are a damn nuisance, whether you let them in or try to keep them out. Fade to black. Fade in. June 6, 1944. D-Day. The invasion of Normandy has begun. The first boats land on a deserted beach. Coming ashore, the soldiers hear a sound. Are you playing that?
No.
Where's that coming from? Was that me?
I
Okay.
don't know.
Did you guys hear anything?
I'm hearing some noise.
Okay,
I just
all
thought
right.
it was a TV.
Sorry, I totally lost my spot because something started playing through my headphones. Okay. Okay, so D-Day, coming ashore, the soldiers hear a sound. A long blast from a hunting horn. Onto the beach burst the hounds, and rays of light from the distance strike the first wave of soldiers dead where they stand. Smash cut to end credits.
Okay.
That's it. That's the sound of his horn, you guys. And I have an idea for the sequel too, but I'll save that one.
I'll just say that if I need a blurb for my book, I think I might have to have some extra paper for that one. But what about you, Ken? What do you got?
Mine is extremely shorter.
I had the short version, but it seemed kind of boring just to go with that. I don't know.
All right, Ken, give us your best.
Oh, I'm kind of having trouble getting the time travel element in here, but I think I got it. Oh, hey, it's the Jonolobster plot points.
It's the short.
Yes.
It's the short version. I don't know. I was just having fun.
Okay.
All right, Kent, your turn.
Okay. My movie is going to be called Centaur. The tagline: 10,000 cc's of terror.
I see we're going with a horror element
We're
here.
gonna go with more of a horror film here. Yeah.
All right, come on.
Because it sells.
It's been a while since we had a good time travel horror film.
Yeah. A mechanic who's building his ultimate motorcycle. And it's played by Bruce Dern. It's going to be Grizzled Mechanic. Building the ultimate motorcycle. Comes in possession of a mysterious amulet. But somehow, the amulet breaks and summons through time a vengeful spirit of the past. Who possesses the motorcycle. And turns it into the Centaur. A half demon, half motorcycle. Which terrorizes the small desert town.
Is there a rider on this motorcycle?
It is the motorcycle. Half demon, see?
I see.
There's no right. The rider would be here. There's the person. The demon. Who hunts.
So, who is Amy Adams and Matthew McConaughey in all this?
Okay, Matthew McConaughey will be the head of the police department. With I've already decided the rest of the police department, we're gonna drag Mark Saling in, formerly of Glee, as a younger cop. And just because we have to have him, Bruce Campbell. Bruce Campbell on the sheriff's department.
I would have thought that he would be the lovable criminal element that helps out the cops in a bad pinch.
Nope, he's part of the sheriff's department.
Okay.
He can die too, because why not? We're gonna have a body count.
So what about Amy Adams? What is her part?
Amy Adams is in town. She's originally from the town, but she's gone off to college. She's returned for her sister's high school graduation. So there's going to be this party, all sorts of teens there, and terror.
All right. Is there anything more about your centaur that you want to bring up about before we start letting individuals?
I was thinking Lord could be the sister. Let her have her debut. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're gonna try and get the rights to the original Highway to Hell song, but we might do a remake. Who knows?
Or the AC/DC cover.
Maybe. Oh, and obviously the voice of the demon centaur motorcycle creature. We're gonna do Clancy Brown doing his best Kurgan, because you gotta.
I see.
Oh yeah.
So
All gonna die.
on one side. Oh, sorry. Did you have something else?
Well, it opens up one hell of a shot for a franchise, because you don't have to kill it at the end, and even if you do kill it, there's other motorcycles it can possess.
I'm pretty sure that they'll make 1 billion of them, especially if you do it on the cheap. You've got, although Amy Adams is a pretty big draw, so
that's how you get the first movie, and then you could do sequels forever. I mean,
I see. They'll just replace Amy Adams with Laura Flynn Boyle or something.
Mm-hmm.
But so on one end we have the sound of his voice, right?
The sound of his horn. Do you need me to put that movie poster up there again?
The sound of his horn. A World War II Nazi drama that's kind of a twist between Philadelphia Experiment and...
It's really The Most Dangerous Game meets The Island of Dr. Moreau with time travel Nazis.
I see.
And it sets up like an alternate timeline in which, so if you were a little confused by the twist ending there, when the fence overloaded, the Count's entire estate was sent back in time, meaning that the Nazis now have future tech and genetic engineering. So what's going to happen in the sequel, we don't know. I think Natalie Dormer might show up to play the romantic lead in that one, but we'll see.
Well, don't forget the merchandising, because
this
thing's going to blow up like the Chronicles of Riddick. But I can have, now this I think is inspired, I can have Walton Goggins and Bruce Dern, who are the same person on screen at the same time. Look at the two of them and tell me that that could not be his younger version.
Yeah.
I mean, we know what Bruce Dern looks like young, but I'm saying...
If you squint hard enough, I could see it. But I'm kidding. But
Nazis,
yes.
man, Nazis.
Yes, just as good as zombies at killing. But and then on the other hand...
Go ahead. Award your points.
On the other side, we have Kent and his centaur, the sentient motorcycle from hell that's terrorizing a small town with Matthew McConaughey as the lovable sheriff, with his ragtag team of deputies trying to protect Amy Adams as a college student, obviously going back after a 15-year delay. But all the same, where they're going to get this thing, maybe kill it, maybe not, and spawn a whole franchise with Bruce Campbell and all of them. So those are the two that you're going to be choosing from. Now I'm going to give my own points on this, because from what I've heard from both sides, there is some pretty interesting ideas. I got to give it to Lobster on the detail. Simply because there was a lot of detail.
Hey, I thought we were doing the whole plot. I'm sorry.
I was doing plot points. Yeah. I mean, it's a pitch.
I got all the points in there.
Unless you're on the elevator with an executive like on the Abu Dhabi towers, I don't think that you're gonna have enough time pitching.
Well, okay, so I'll give you there's the 2-sentence log line, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can distill it down to that. Or, come on.
Yeah, and there's a lot of interesting things here. There's a lot of twists and turns, and that is definitely it's a very detailed plot and a very thinking man's movie. Where I have to admit, when it comes to visceral, immediate, like I can see the imagery, especially on a low budget fun factor, I got to give it to Centaur. Although I have to admit, part of me did have the movie Rubber in my head when I was listening to you talk about it a little bit, about the killer tire. I don't know if
Oh
you've seen that
yeah,
movie.
I've heard about it. Yeah,
Yes, but
Maximum
it's
Overdrive, except only the tire.
but if y'all are interested, I decided to go ahead and have my little take on this. I promise it won't be
Well,
as long as Lobsters.
sorry, one thing that I just kind of
Yes.
wanted to like expound a bit on is our director, Danny
Yes.
Boyle,
Yeah.
right? So Danny Boyle's style, I think, really fits with my story, which
It does.
combines the sort of like frantic terror of 28 Days Later with the sort of more cerebral, but still like in that genre of Sunshine, and some of like the body horror of 127 Hours. So
Well, 127 Hours wasn't really body horror.
the guy cut off his arm! Cut off
He-
his arm!
But it was just one scene, and it took like maybe like 2 minutes of
All right,
about a
fair
40,
enough.
100.
But that was that, and there's a little bit of the beach in there too, which is kind of fun. And come on, it's got some great Boyle alums in the cast.
It does.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, at the same time, Centaur definitely
It's
has
the next
that.
it's the next Slumdog Millionaire. I'm telling you.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, I will say that my Danny Boyle movie definitely fits his more kind of crime movies that he's done, Shallow Grave and Trance specifically, which I have to admit, a lot of people don't like Trance a whole lot, but I actually think it's pretty ingenious in its way. Mine is called Rewind, and what this is about an international thief named Natalie, played by Amy Adams. She's the main protagonist here. And she has been suspected of robbing nearly 300 banks in about 5 years. The only reason why she's gotten away with it is because at the time of each heist, she has had airtight alibis, namely being thousands of miles away in very public places at the times of these robberies. Now, her trick is that she uses a time portal to do the jobs days after the event, waiting until afterwards to find out exactly how she did it, and then copying it to the letter and getting away scot-free. But the thing is that there's been an FBI agent named Burris, who's played by Matthew McConaughey, that is on her trail, and he's getting closer to finding out her trick. Now, everything goes tits up when one morning Natalie wakes up to see in the news that she was just found dead in the middle of a heist. And to make matters worse is that at that very moment, she has been caught by Agent Burris, seeing her alive and dead at the same time, and now has called in the heat to bring her in, because obviously something's going on here. Now, she escapes his clutches during an awesome chase sequence, which, if you know Danny Boyle, he will definitely bring, and she disappears. Now, she doesn't like hiding, and she's enjoyed the high life, so she's decided that she will, in fact, go back, but this time she's going to do it right so that she isn't found dead. The cops don't know the cops won't be chasing after her, and everything will be fine. But she needs to know where everything went wrong. Now, this is where she calls in Frank, who's played by Bruce Dern. Frank is her estranged father, and he's a small-time petty thief, but he's also the person that she stole the time portal from in the first place. And in a way, he's the only person that she can turn to because he's the one who knows the trick. But he holds very little love for her, obviously, after stealing that time portal, and he probably intends to kill her. And he agrees to help with the caveat that she returns the portal afterwards, which she agrees to. But again, she's one eye on him, one eye on the prize. Now, the noose is tightening on this whole event, and she needs to play a very complicated game, not just against her scorned mentor and father, who may or may not be the person who actually killed her in the past, but also the one man who wants to bring her down, not to mention that she has to deal with time itself. and that's my plot. I'm not going to give away the ending because the ending is pretty awesome, if I may say so. But it definitely has that kind of urgency, the intensity, the movement of Danny Boyle's work. I think that he would be perfect for this. It definitely plays to his strengths, and especially with the international locations, I think that he would just get everything. And I think it would actually be a movie that he would be interested in directing. But that's mine. It's not on the table though. I just decided to do it kind of just a one-off. But please feel free to give your comments on all of these if you're interested in seeing these. Obviously, hit
If you
the
work
like
in
button.
Hollywood, don't steal our ideas. Or
Yeah.
if you do, give us credit, make us rich, please.
Checks too.
Dump trucks full of cash. Bring them this way.
But if you like what you've seen, please hit the like button. Obviously, I would strongly ask that you subscribe to our channel. We're going to have a whole bunch of new material coming out. And if y'all like plot points, we'll definitely be doing more. And we'll be getting more guests on in order to do plot points, which I'm working on as we speak.
Come pitch your own.
Obviously, and if you have, if people are interested, I might go ahead and on the Twitter handle, which you'll see just underneath me, I might go ahead and pitch out the plot points about a week or two in advance. If y'all are interested in putting y'all's out, any good ones, obviously within about a minute or two, kind of thing. If they're good, I might actually read them out on the next plot points. But again, hit those like buttons, thumbs up the person that you thought did a better job at getting their plot out.
This guy right here.
And
Did his homework.
yes. But again, thank you so much for joining us for the inaugural episode of Plot Points. This is the Movie Dude Eric.
This is Kent.
And this is Jonolobster, V for Victory.
And we'll see you on the next Arthouse Legends videocast.